Okay.
Hello everybody, I'm delighted to be joined by Frida from Surrey Libraries, and we are doing a little session just to have a little chat about the presentation that Frida very kindly did for us, which you will have seen earlier on. And I have to say the presentation was absolutely fantastic because it just gave me such an insight into all the amazing things that Surrey Libraries do. And actually, as a parent myself of children with additional needs, I had no idea of half the things that were going on. So I've got some burning questions to ask Frida that I think will benefit other families out there who might be feeling a bit nervous about potentially coming along to the libraries. So Frida, did you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role as part of the libraries?
Sure. So I've been working for Surrey Libraries now for almost 12 years. I had different roles. I actually started off as a Saturday assistant when my youngest went back to school. On day one, I walked into Woking Library and I saw an ad up and I thought, right, I love books, I love libraries, I'll start here. And I never left really. I'm still here and I'm still loving it. So I've been a library manager for a few years in one of our smaller libraries. And then I joined a kind of team side within the library services supporting our frontline staff. And at the moment, I'm a program and audience development manager. And in our team, we very much focus on our outreach work and developing our audience and the programs we run for our Surrey residents. So yeah, brilliant. That's what I think.
Brilliant. It seems like a very vast role, and I know when I've spoken to you before, there's so many different elements to what you do, but it's brilliant. So one of the things that came out the presentation, I know you mentioned your autism friendly rhyme times that you do. Could you tell me a little bit more about them and how families can access them, and is it, is that something that's done at, all your libraries, or is there just, certain ones? It would just be great, because I think it's such a fantastic thing to do, because we do hear from families quite often that there isn't always things that are that are tailored towards children with additional needs, and sometimes it can be really tricky coming along to things if they feel worried of how their child might react, or whether their child might not understand, or how they might behave. So it'd be great to hear a little bit more about them.
So our rhyme times are probably one of the most popular events we run in our library. So we have 52 libraries in Surrey. 10 are run by volunteers, and our other 42 libraries are supported by Surrey County Council library staff. But all our libraries, it's part of our core offer, in principle offer rhyme time sessions. Now, of course, we have the COVID pandemic, which meant that all our events in library in person had stopped for quite a long time. Now we have reopened or restarted our libraries again with rhyme time sessions, but it's a gradual process. We only started with the first ones again back in July 2021. It is different than before the pandemic. The numbers are still limited. We still ask people to kind of book their space in advance. I mean, they're completely free, but you still have to register beforehand so we can control the numbers. So if you are interested to know if your local library runs a rhyme time session, the best thing to do is go to their webpage, and you will see if they're running one and what time and day it will take place. It will also tell you then how you can get hold of a ticket. So that's rhyme time in general. Now, in principle, all our rhyme time sessions are open for anyone. So I think that's the most important thing to get out there. They are aimed at the under fives. They are all inclusive, and they are run in a very relaxed manner. Basically, the message of, come and check one out. We're welcoming. It's a safe space to be. We want to make sure every family that comes with their child has a positive experience, and that they leave the session, feeling kind of uplifted in, words like health and well-being. But it's true, but it could also have a different meaning. Social inclusion is very important for families. They have a very structured way, our rhyme time sessions. So they will start with an opening song, Then the middle part will be the rhymes and engaging with the children and the families, and that is like kind of an end song too. So they are always structured and they will always be the same way. So if you've been a few times, you know what you can expect, which I think help families sometimes with children with more complex needs.
Absolutely.
I do like to point out they are noisy and it can be busy, especially if you look how we run them before the lockdown. Numbers are still limited, but before the lockdown, like a session at Woking Library, for example, could be very busy and noisy. So it might not always be suitable for everyone to attend one of those sessions at the larger libraries. So do keep that in mind. All I would say is, if you are you want to visit one of the rhyme time sessions, you are anxious, have a chat before and just come in a quieter moment, have a chat with the member of staff or the volunteer who works at that library, and just express your concern and start that conversation. And you know, they can then have a chat and hopefully put your mind at ease that you feel you can come to these sessions and give it a go, and then hopefully walk away with it, and we'll see you back every week. But as I say, it might not always be the right environment or the right session for you and your child. So we are very aware of that, and we are working very hard to improve our SEND office. So if you have the experience, you want to kind of engage with us, please get in touch and let us know. Okay. So the other thing I like to point out, that besides the in-person rhyme time session in our libraries, we also have our YouTube channel where we have loads and loads of pre-recorded rhyme time sessions. We did a special autism awareness rhyme time session, as you are aware. We did that specifically early this year to celebrate Autism Awareness Week. So, and that is slightly more structured, more visual, with a board behind it, so families can see this rhyme time session from the comfort of their own home, but still engage and take part in our rhyme time session. And then, of course, the good news is that at the start of January, we are planning to do a live, still a virtual rhyme time session with the lovely Georgina, who works at Guildford Library, who is trained, and she will prepare this rhyme time session for families in Surrey that you know, who are interested in joining us. So hopefully we'll see all your families there.
Yeah, we're very, very, very excited about that. It's going to be in our early years group on the, I believe it's the 14th of January, and we are, yeah, so we're very, very excited. More details will follow on that, but we felt it would be a really good opportunity for families to be able to experience it, and as you say, from the comfort of their own home, but to be able to experience the kind of things that, you know, you're doing. So yeah, we can't wait for that, and hopefully we hope lots of families will want to come along to that. That sounds absolutely brilliant, and I think the reassuring message is, you know, just you know, that just come and talk to us, which is so lovely to hear, because I know a lot of families they get worried about, you know, feeling like they're causing a problem, or, you know, worried about how they might be perceived. So actually, just to hear you say that is just really, really lovely. So I would really urge, you know, families to go and do that. And that leads me really nicely on to my next question. Is we hear from, this is not necessarily just library specific, but we hear from a lot of families who get quite nervous and anxious about going to places like libraries or, you know, shops or that kind of thing, because sometimes their child may have challenging behaviour. They may not be able to, you know, to sit still or you know, get their state, you know, be quiet, or, you know, they may use loud voices, and they may have meltdowns, and, you know, it can be quite distressing to see. And I think for the parents, it can be really isolating for them, because they often feel that they can't go to these places because of how they're going to be perceived, or because they wouldn't be welcome there. And I just wondered, was there anything that you could, you know, sort of say to reassure those families that actually, you know, it's okay, but and you know, they won't be judged in those circumstances?
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. And I think the first thing I would like to kind of dismiss is the idea of libraries as being kind of, you know, stuffy places where there's a very stern-looking librarian going, shh, and you have to be quiet. I mean, those days are long behind us, and you'll see our libraries are lively, vibrant, places, especially, you know, once the schools are out and the children coming to the libraries. So yeah, it is a very noisy place, actually, libraries. So I would definitely not worry about that. Also like to say that our staff and the volunteers are kind of trained, so they know they know how to create a welcoming environment, and we are aware that, you know, we have a very diverse public that walks through our library doors from very different backgrounds and who have different needs and requests. So we're also working with external organisations to make sure that we want our libraries to be seen as dementia autism friendly libraries. So we're also reaching out there to make sure we are doing what we should be doing. I would say if you have those concerns, you're not quite sure, please come into one of our libraries, have a chat with someone, you know, a member of staff or volunteer, depending which library you are in, and then just express your concern and have that chat, you know, saying, you know, can I join in one of those rhyme time sessions? You know, how busy is it? Would it be suitable? Can you tell me a bit more about it? And then hopefully we can put your mind at ease and just start that conversation to make sure, you know, that you feel comfortable and that you are aware, you know what, it's okay to be noisy and be loud. And, you know, and if you do go halfway, like, well, you know, maybe this is not the day, then, you know, feel free to leave halfway through a session if you're at a rhyme time session, you know, and then hopefully we can see you come back another time. But if you maybe need maybe a bit of a space somewhere for you and your child, just to kind of take them away from the environment, again, just have a conversation beforehand. You know, there might be a room available that if just you know, you just kind of want to have that time with your child, that we can try and accommodate it. But the most important thing I would like to say, just come and talk to us and then see what we can do for you and your child, to support you, to make sure, you know, you come and see us and come through our library doors, and feel welcome. And it is a positive experience to be in our library. So yeah.
No, that's brilliant, and that's just such a lovely message to hear, because, you know, families have come across, you know, various elements of, you know, discrimination and things like that, you know, and because of those experiences, it can be quite debilitating in actually, you know, making that step to come forward. So actually hearing those words, and I know, you know, from talking to you, that the message is very clear, you know, anybody is welcome, and it doesn't matter if you're, you know, if you're not saying a word, or if you're, you know, on the floor, you know, rolling around, it's all okay. And that's so lovely to hear.
I mean, we see it all. I like to say that. And what we do, for example, in the larger libraries, well, we know there's going to be a busy round, and we put signs up for the rest of our public, so they know it's going to be a busy hour, so be prepared. And then they can then choose to either stay or come back another time when it is quieter, when we don't have the children running around the library. But yeah, it's a lovely experience, and I love the sound of children, you know, in a library and just enjoying the space they are. So you definitely don't have to be quiet in our libraries.
That's amazing, thank you. And I just wanted to ask, some of our families, they may be that so it might be that the parents may have additional needs or disability as well, which obviously then adds a sort of extra difficulty to it. And I just wondered, in that respect, what kind of support could they access from yourselves? And, you know, things like all the fantastic resources that you talked about in, you know, all the different formats and all those kind of things. Is there somebody within the library that can kind of signpost them to there? Because I think sometimes families are a little bit nervous about asking, and they just, you know, or they're worried that they'll come in, they won't be able to find it. And, you know, is there somebody there that could help in those circumstances?
Absolutely. So I think that there are many different ways you can kind of access our services and our resources. So, of course, you know, the thing we all think about is you walk through a library door and you just browse the shelf and then pick up a book you want. If you can't find what you want, have a chat with someone who's there, either a member of staff or a volunteer, and they will do their best to try and find the right book for you. If it's not sitting on the shelf, we have our vast amount of books on our online catalogue. So either a member of staff can look it up for you and put in a reservation for you, or just from the comfort at home in that evening, you know, access our online catalogue, see what we have, and then you can put in a reservation, and for a small fee we'll send it in to your local library where you then can pick it up. So so that's kind of, you know, one way of doing it. Of course, we also have our e-resources. If you are a member of the library, it's completely free, and we have plenty of books, e-books, e-audiobooks. You know, all you need is being a member of the library, have your borrow number and your PIN number ready, and you can access it on the device at home. And then, you know, when you are on your running or walking into town, you can listen to your audiobooks. And it is fiction and non-fiction, and it is for all ages that we have access to it. Another resource I talked about during my presentation was our Reading Well collection, which is an amazing resource. Definitely go and have a look at that. You can find more information on our web pages. There are 5 collections, and Surrey Libraries takes part in all 5 collections. And there is Reading Well for children, for young people, and for mental health in general. And you find information there on dealing with situations like, you know, for families who might have children with ADHD or autism. There is plenty of out there you can read up on. We also have a Life Matters collection. I also touched upon that in my presentation. That's slightly more aimed at, you know, anything that life can throw at you. We try and accommodate and have lists together. So again, if you go to our webpage, you'll find more information on there. Now, I do have to point out, we recently changed our IT provider. So normally if you go to the webpage and you find a list you are interested, you could click on it. It would bring you to our catalogue, and it shows you all the title in that collection. Due to the changes we are still going through, those kind of, if you would click on it, doesn't bring you there to the collection. So you have 2 options. You can just, you know, do a bit more research yourself. If you know a title, go on our online catalogue and see if we have the title and put in a reservation for you. Or what we have done, you know, with Family Voice Surrey and the event coming up for families who have children with more complex needs with autism, we have kind of put our own collection together and put it in a separate document. So if you are interested to see our autism titles, you can get in touch with us, and then we can just email you the list, and then you know specifically the titles we have in stock, and so you can make a reservation. So there is plenty of out there on resources for people to access in many different ways.
And that's brilliant, actually. And it's just so, because I think, you know, families, it's something that they, you know, they want to know more about. And I think quite often, you know, we have families who may have just received a diagnosis for their child, and they want to learn, and they want to, you know, read more about it. And sometimes that can be a really emotive time, and you know, it can be that, you know, finding out, you know, all the different things that go with it. So actually having something that's really easy to find, and just being able to tap into those resources as and when needed, is just absolutely, you know, really useful, and just takes another sort of weight off those, you know, those families, that actually, yes, I can go and find that information there, and you know, which is just brilliant. And again, something that I have to say myself, I you know, would have been really, you know, if I'd known more, it would have been really useful. So I, you know, really say to families, you know, go and use the resources.
Exactly. And if you know a title that really helped you in, you know, in your experiences, that supported you and your family, and we don't have it, you can always put in a recommendation. You can either tell staff, they can fill in a little form, or you can do it online yourself, and then definitely our stock team will look into it and buy the titles. So and we definitely welcome that. And we've worked in the past, for example, when we worked together with the fostering and the adoption team, and because often the non-fiction titles are really expensive, you know, and it's worth for us to invest in it if it gets recommended by the experts and, you know, families with those experience. So we definitely listen. So don't hold back to tell us if you are aware of a title we don't have.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, because like you say, you know, these books are very expensive, and actually, you know, families often don't have the money, but actually really benefit them from accessing them. So that's you know, that's wonderful, really good. One of the other things that I, you know, heard and saw on your presentation was the fantastic schemes that you ran for children. So, you know, with the sort of reading challenges and all the things where they can sort of collect things. I just wondered how accessible would that be for children with additional needs, you know, anything from autism up to visual impairments, that kind of thing. Are those children still able to access those things? Because it seems like such an exciting thing for them to be able to, you know, do and collect all these, you know, challenge stickers.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't see why they could not take part. So we make sure, depending on the age and the challenge, that it is appropriate for that age. So you just touch upon the Summer Reading Challenge, one of our main reading schemes, which is a fantastic reading scheme, and we've been doing that for many, many years with amazing feedback. And you know, the main aim is to keep our children reading through the summer holiday, because we know, you know, the dip does cause you know, children when they go back in September, you know, to fall behind and perhaps some of their schoolwork and literacy. So it's a great scheme to keep them going, and very much the focus in that it's fun to read. You know, sometimes for school, you know, you have to read maybe books that you don't want to, but it's very much it's the fun side, and you can read anything you like. It could be a cookbook, it could be a comic, you know, we have it all. So, and as I said, it is for every age and for any child who wants to take part. So this year, as part of the Summer Reading Challenge, we also ran the mini challenge. So these were for the under fours, where they're able to join in, especially if you have an older sibling, you know, they like to take part and do their own bit to keep reading during the summer holiday. So yeah, so all our reading schemes are available. You know, our resources are also available. For example, if you have a child with dyslexia, I mean, it's probably more aimed at the slightly older children who might already be reading themselves, but there's a vast array of books out there for the different age group, from, you know, children who are starting to learn to read to teenagers. So we have Reading Out Loud, for example. It's great. It's a book, large print, and with it comes a CD, and then you can listen to it while you read along. We have resources like Quick Reads, which are very, you know, smaller books. So not those big books, you know, not everyone wants to read a Harry Potter Part 7. So these are smaller books, but often, you know, by famous authors. So you still get the good quality and, you know, information people really want to read. We also work with suppliers who specifically supply books. So the pages have a different color. So if you have an visual impairment, the letters are spaced out differently, so it's easier to read. So we have, you know, from dyslexia, visually impaired, you know, so we have audiobooks which are accessible for everyone, and we also have special borrow categories. So if, for example, you are visually impaired, you can sign up for a ticket that will then support you. So if you want to order an audiobook, this also goes for adults. Normally there would be a small charge to rent an audiobook and make a reservation. That will be free, for example, if you have a visual impairment or a print impairment to read. So again, all you have to do is just speak to a member of staff or a volunteer who can give you that advice, what's the best for you, and we'll try and support you as best as we can.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, my youngest daughter did do the reading challenge. She didn't do it this year, unfortunately, but I don't know why. But in previous years she has, and she's autistic, and she really struggles with. No, she can read and everything. She's very, you know, she's a, you know, she's a good reader, but she struggles with that kind of getting down to it and the sort of the demands of it, I suppose. But actually, when she did the reading challenge, she just loved it, because it was that, you know, oh look, I do this and I get my sticker, and, you know, following the process, and, you know, and so it just gives that. It gives back the love of reading, I think, sometimes, because I think sometimes, particularly children with additional needs, I mean all children, but especially with those with additional needs, sometimes in school they because they're struggling sometimes, and, you know, sometimes the book might be too difficult for you know, for how they are cognitively at that point. So actually to be able to go and read any book they like and then get a reward for it, it's just fantastic. So it's that, you know, so I can speak from personal experience that it is really, really good. So I'm going to make sure that she signs up for it this year.
We see you back next year. Also, the good thing is, because of course we want to do something all year round, so we have the winter mini challenge just around the corner.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we just basically want them to keep reading all year round.
Yeah,
we always
no.
have something in place to motivate children to come into libraries. And I think very much the message, read for fun, in those challenges. So
absolutely,
yeah.
which is, and that's that's the most important thing, isn't it? And if it's enjoyable, they'll want to do it. So it's just it's brilliant. Frida, thank you so much. You've been, I'm just looking down my list, because I from the presentation I sort of noted down some things, and you've covered them beautifully. So thank you so much. And I'd say to all our members and families watching, please, if you haven't already, go and get your library card and sign up to your local library. And don't be nervous, go and talk to them, because there really is so many different opportunities for both the adults and for young children from from a very, very early age. So yes, go and sign up.
Can I just add one thing, because I want to make sure that we bring across that we need input from families with children with SEND needs. I mean, we need to know what you want. We're very much there to support you. So we very much want to co-design and co-create our library spaces, and make sure everyone feels welcome. So start that conversation with us. If you have comments, tips, feedback, get in touch. Can be email, you can pick up a phone, get in touch with all our social media channels that are out there, and let us know, and then we can start that conversation. And yeah, so we definitely want to hear from you, because our libraries are open for anyone, and everyone should feel welcome and have a positive experience, and we want to get it right. So we do want to hear from you, so please get in touch.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Frida. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for today, Leanne.